Hi. Hi, everyone. I'm Brittany with Birth It Forward, certified birth and bereavement doula, certified yoga instructor, and photographer. All right, so today we're going to talk about the Bishop score and what that means for your labor and the birth of your baby. Okay. Okay, so here we are. We're going to talk about the Bishop score today. Again, I'm Brittany Brownell. SBD is certified birth and bereavement doula with stillbirthing. Okay, so the Bishop score. What is it? Why are we using it? So the Bishop score is used to help predict the likeliness of a vaginal birth, and it's mainly used as an induction tool. So if you're coming up on 36, 37 weeks and your doctor's talking induction, or for those doulas out there, if your client's doctor is talking about induction, we want to know what this Bishop score is. And they're not necessarily going to give you the Bishop score, but you can have your client give you all the information you need to calculate that Bishop score on your own. And we're going to talk about how to do that today. Okay, so the Bishop score uses 5 different components of a vaginal exam, and then we get a large score based on that exam and those components. So it can range anywhere from 0 to 13. You want a score of 8 or greater. And that is going to show that your body, your client's body, is in the optimum condition for a favorable outcome with an induction. Now, if we're talking 6 or less, then things things maybe aren't ready to have that induction. We need to do a few things to get that induction ready to go, so that your client's body is ready to have that induction and have a baby vaginally. Otherwise, you might see your client have a failed induction, and no one wants that. Okay, so this is what the Bishop score chart looks like. I'm going to put this up here for now, and I'm going to have to move it out of the way because I've got something on that spot later. All right, so these are your components of the Bishop score. We're going to talk about your cervical position, your posterior, midline, and anterior positions. Posterior being your cervix. Here's your cervix. Your body is here. Your cervix is tilted to the back. Okay, so this is the bottom part, and this is the top part of that cervix, and the uterus is up above here, and we're tilted backwards. No baby can come out that way. Midline, you'd think this is how you want it to go, but really what we're looking for is that cervix to be tilted in the anterior position. So the cervix is open to the front of the body. Um, and the reason that is because your vagina, it doesn't go straight up and down. I'm doing my hands down here. Your vagina doesn't go straight up and down. It's actually at this inclined position. So we want your cervix to be fully anterior so that your baby can come totally straight out. All right, and then we're looking at the cervical consistency. So firm, medium, and soft. Firm would be like your nose, medium would be like your chin, and soft is like your lips, okay? And you can actually test this out on your own body throughout your whole menstrual cycle. That's part of the family planning practice for many women, that they do the family planning practice. So they get a an idea of what that feels like. As a doula, and even as a mom, a parent, I highly recommend you just kind of examine yourself in that way, on a monthly basis and see what that feels like. Can you identify if you're firm, medium, or soft? And that can also tell you what your menstrual cycle is doing. But anyway, I'm off track. So effacement is, um, sorry, I know exactly what it is. All right, so next we have effacement. In effacement, hopefully you are aware, but the effacement of the cervix is the thinning of the cervix. So the thinner the cervix gets, the wider and more open and dilated the cervix can get. So what we are looking for is a higher percentage of effacement in relation to the higher dilation centimeter size, okay? So this is just bracketed out in, 10 to 20% increments. And all of these things are subjective. So it depends on who's doing your check, who's checking your client, and what they perceive to be these different positionings. Okay. So next we have dilation. And again, these are just kind of, they go in early labor all the way up to 3 points active labor. Okay. Baby station. Hopefully you're aware of what the station is. If you're not, I'll go very briefly here and you'll need to watch a different video on the baby station. So baby station -3 is we're really high up in the uterus, in the pelvis. So here's your pelvis, right? Baby's way up here. We're not engaged at all. We're above the pelvis. We're above the cervix. We're high. Okay. -2 is okay. We're starting to enter some stuff here. -1, 0 is we are at those ischial spines. So baby is fully engaged and we're moving. 1 and 2, +1 and +2 is baby's in the vagina, in the vaginal canal, and we might even be seeing some head. Okay. All right, so these are the tools that we are going to use. I'm gonna make this really small because I don't need it right now. These are the tools that we're going to use to calculate a Bishop score for a client. So we're going to start by talking about a scenario. Say you have a client, she's at 37 weeks and 5 days, and her doctor, for whatever reason, is starting to talk about induction and is recommending that she go into a scheduled induction at 38 weeks. So here's what we've garnered through asking our questions of the client and recommending ahead of time that she ask these questions of her doctor. She has told you is in the posterior position. She's told you her cervix is soft and it's 80% effaced. She is dilated to 2 centimeters and her baby is at a station of -3. Okay, so let's calculate our Bishop score based on that information. All right, so with her cervix in the posterior position, that is 0 points. We're just going to look at our grid here. And posterior is at the 0 points of cervical position. So right here we have 0 points. Next, we have her cervical consistency is soft. So she's got 2 points for this. 0 + 2 = 2 points total. On the next one, her effacement level was 80%, so she gets 3 points. We're now at a total of 5 points for her current her current Bishop score. When she told you that she was 2 centimeters, you marked down 1 point for that. So she's at a total of 6 points for her Bishop score. And her baby station is -3. Okay, so we're just going to hang out at that 6-point level. Now, remember what I said. We want 8 points or higher for a favorable outcome for an induction. 6 points and lower generally means that it's not necessarily going to have a super favorable outcome potentially, or it's just going to take a long time. So what do you think the likelihood of your client's vaginal birth, let me rephrase. What do you think the likelihood of your client having a successful induction with a vaginal birth being? Now, this isn't really like a set in stone type of thing. I've seen mothers who have a lower Bishop score still have that vaginal birth that they're looking for. This by no means means that they can't do an induction and have a vaginal birth. It just means we're going to take longer to get to that vaginal birth, and we might have a few additional interventions in order to accomplish that goal. Okay. Which, of course, the more interventions you have, the higher rate you have a potential for a C-section. So the Bishop score can tell us a lot, but of course, it's not the end all be all. It won't tell us everything. And you have to teach your clients what these things mean so that when you go to ask them these questions, they know they know the answers to give you. Okay. If you need some additional resources where I've gathered all this information, here are some websites that you can visit to learn more about cervical ripening and the Bishop score. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm Brittany with Birth It Forward.